Ladies and gentlemen of Knucklehead Nation, welcome to episode 47 of the Fighters Rep podcast. I'm your host of Fighters Rep, Fez, joined by none other than the legend of South Florida, Gary Ignat Behavior. Gary, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. You?
I'm doing good, man. It's not next week, but it's the following week, Gary, and we have a card coming up that people are calling perhaps one of the best fight cards in 25 years of boxing. And at the top of the bill, Gary, is none other than Terence Bud Crawford, the pound-for-pound king, versus a very tough Israil Madrimov, right? But we've also got 5 other very, I think, exciting and enticing fights that I want to go over with you as well. I want to do a prediction on as many of these fights as we can, but obviously we'll leave the big one to the end. But, what are your thoughts on this card, Gary? I mean, I'm not sure if, you've seen a lot of it.
I've seen it. I'm trying to remember everybody who was on it. You got Andy. You got Andy Ruiz, Jarrell Miller, Martin Backwell, Jared Anderson. You got David Morrell. You got I don't know him. Who is that?
Kalajic is a guy who lost to Beterbiev. He put up a pretty good fight, but he recently beat Sullivan Barrera. So he's a pretty good fighter.
What the card was supposed to be fighting on this card though?
Who's that?
No, actually that's the last card. No, I take it back. I forgot Pitbull Cruz. Yeah, no, I got it mixed up with another card. I was thinking Bivol.
Yeah.
And Beterbiev was fighting on this card. When did they fight? I got it mixed up. But
I don't know when and if that fight ever happens. But
yeah, I mean, obviously the ones I'm really interested in Pitbull Cruz, Andy Cruz,
Andy Ruiz.
Ruiz. I mean, Ruiz, I want to see what it looks like against Jarrell Miller. He should beat him, but this will be the barometer. He's still somebody we should be talking about.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But he should beat him.
Bacoli's a good challenge for Jared Anderson. I think Bacoli's a pretty good challenge for Jared Anderson. A lot of people on this side of the world don't know who he is.
Yeah,
he's pretty tough, And I think it's a good fight with David Morrell and Kalajic, but I think Morrell wins that fight.
Well, Oh, I was gonna say Jared Anderson has to have a better showing than his last fight because people were kind of down on his last fight, and I know he said he tried to fight Zhang, but they turned it down. So
who turned it down?
They're saying Zhang or Zhang or however you say his name.
I wonder what that's about because
he said he offered it to him first. And Jared Anderson, he said I offered it to him and he turned it down.
I wonder what that's about because I feel like that would be a good fight. I would imagine maybe Zhang has a better matchup or a better fight, maybe something more lucrative. I don't know. I mean, but I don't see how it could be more lucrative than Riyadh season. You know what I mean?
I think Jared. I think not Jared, but I think Zhang or Zhang or however you say it. You know how to say it better than me. I think because he's old. Hey, he's older, so he's in his 40s. He's looking for, a championship. I think chance because he's so old now. At this point, does he really want to go back and fight a up and coming contender?
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know what I mean?
Especially
so maybe that's why.
Especially coming off the Wilder knockout,
Yeah, I mean? You want to kind of benefit off of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you mentioned being interested in Andy Cruz versus Antonio Moran. I mean, I guess what are your thoughts on that fight?
I don't know Antonio Moran that much. I know Andy Cruz, and I just want to see the development that Andy Cruz is going forward. I know he's an Olympic medalist. He beat Keyshawn Davis 4 times. He's 4-0 against Keyshawn, and I just want to see. I know they were saying he was more of a boxer, and they were trying to get him to throw more punches, be more of an inside fighter. I just want to see his development. I like to see fighters from the beginning to see how they develop and they get better and better. See how he does. If he goes and does what he needs to do.
Yeah. Moran. You know, I knew I recognized him. He's the guy that Devin Haney knocked out. Remember when Devin Haney threw that massive overhand right hand and knocked that guy out?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's
him?
Moran. So yeah, that's Moran. So I'm thinking, you know, right off the bat, I mean, this fight is it's pretty tailor-made.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can say, oh no, let's go back there. So yeah, I feel like this fight is pretty tailor-made for Andy Cruz. You know, I think it's probably kind of a showcase for him. I mean, Moran is, you know, he's a warm body for him, if I'm being honest with you, Gary. That's what I'm seeing in this one.
He's a warm body after the club.
Yeah, and I think and I mean that's horrible to say. It's horrible to say. But you know, Andy Cruz, even though I mean Andy Cruz has a lot less fights, right? He's only 3-0 with a knockout. You know, Moran is 36-1, so it's definitely like a challenge. But you know, I got a feeling. I mean, Andy Cruz is almost like a Lomachenko coming into the game with like a bunch of amateur fights and a bunch of amateur experience. So I would imagine Andy Cruz would win this fight. I'm not saying this is a bad matchup for him. You know, it's definitely admirable that a guy with 3 fights or whatever takes on a guy with 37 fights. I mean, that's a big deal, regardless of the guy's, you know, skill. But I would imagine this is a bit of a show.
Well, he only lost, like you said, what, 6?
Yeah.
So you're getting a guy who ain't no bum, but you know, he's experienced, he's not a bum. And I just think they're trying to fast track Andy Cruz, like you said, like Lomachenko.
Yeah. And you know, he did KO Romero Duno in his last fight, who's, you know, pretty good. And then he did lose before that, though, to Jermaine Ortiz. And I'm talking about Antonio Moran. So good. I mean,
how did he lose to Jermaine Ortiz?
It was unanimous decision.
Okay, all right. It'll probably be that again this time.
Yeah. So it's a decent little fight for Andy Cruz, but you know I do expect him to come through because you know, as we know, Gary, skills pay the bills around here, brother.
Yes, sir.
Next up, David Morrell versus I can't even try pronouncing Kalajic's first name. We'll just call him Kalajic. Again, you know, I think this is more of a showcase for Morrell. Good on Kalajic getting himself back in position to get a fight like this. You know, it's it'll be a decent fight, I think, as long as he lasts. But I do think this is a kind of a showcase for Morrell as well.
I'm trying to remember that name, Kalajic. I can't really remember. Damn, he sounds familiar.
The only fights I remember him from, like I said, is he lost. I think it was by TKO to Artur Beterbiev a few years ago, and then he beat Sullivan Barrera in March of this year. So
I think I might have seen the Artur Beterbiev fight. I think I might have seen him. Yeah.
He got KO'd by Artur Beterbiev, and he also lost a split decision a while back to Marcus Brown, who's a decent guy in that division. I mean, but those are his only 2 losses. You know, he's not like a bad fighter. It's no shame getting KO'd by Beterbiev. I mean, this could be. I mean, everybody gets KO'd by Beterbiev. I mean, this could be a decent fight, you know. But I do feel like, you know, Morrell is going to be the favorite here. He's the younger man. He's undefeated. He's got 9 knockouts in 10 fights, Gary.
He's good.
But you know, it is a guy with more fights. I mean, he's got more fights than Morrell, right? Morrell's only got 10 fights, and Kalajic has 31 fights, Gary.
31. Oh wow.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe that experience will make up for, you know, what I believe to be slightly less talent. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I guess next up, you know, let's chat real quick about Martin Bakole versus Jared Anderson. I mean, do you know much about Martin Bakole at all, Gary?
No, actually, I don't. I haven't seen him fight at all.
Okay.
So, I mean, I pretty much think this is, like you said, for pretty much a lot of these fighters, a showcase and to put on. And so I think Jared Anderson, his last fight, I remember Tank commenting on it saying big, what he called him, big shitty or something. You know, Tank. Hey, Tank's low key funny, but Tank's funny. He's a character, but you know, I think Jared Anderson, his last fight he won it. He won it easily, but it wasn't an impressive win. I think this one they're trying to give him somebody who is credible. Like I said, I haven't seen him, but I understand that he's a credible fighter, you know, and that they're trying to give him somebody
fights, Gary,
so he can get the
fights, 21 fights, 20 wins, 1 loss, 15 wins by knockout. The only person he ever lost to was a TKO to Michael Hunter back in October of 2018. He's coming off of a TKO over Carlos Takam last year in October.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I mean, so that's a tough fight. He got 1 loss, 15 knockouts. I mean, that's a tough fight, but you know, I think Jared Anderson, besides all of the things that he's done outside of the boxing ring, I mean, I think this is you know, he needs to show if he wants to get the big fights, the bigger names. It's about time for him to step up in the level of competition that he's fighting and fight some real names, some real people. You know?
No, I agree. And his last win was against Riyad Murhi in Texas, April 13th of this year. He won a unanimous decision. You know, nobody even really knows who Murhi is, if I'm being honest. All respect to him, but I think it was in the Charles Martin fight back in 2023 where he got caught with something. Yeah, we started to question Anderson's I guess pedigree or dedication or whatever it is, his level. So I think this will be a good fight to see where he's at as far as the barometer is, Gary. I see him winning.
I think a lot of people question his work ethic. From what I'm hearing, I don't know, but you know, from what you hear from the insiders and everything, they question his work ethic, whether he truly loves boxing. Mm-hmm. He got talent for sure. He's talented. Yeah. I don't know how much he loves it from what they say. Maybe that's not true, but majority of the time it's true when they say it.
And you know, he's only 24 years old still, man.
Yeah.
So, you know, he's got kind of the world in his hands if he decides to step it up. I think he could potentially be the next, you know, great American heavyweight if he decides to pursue it. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see if that flip is switched. We'll see how he looks against Bacoli. I do think he beats Bacoli. But, you know, I don't know if it's going to be an easy fight. It doesn't look like it's going to be an easy fight. I think it'll probably be a decision or something, unless hopefully, you know, he could bring the fireworks like he used to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think now after that, you know, we get into the real juicy ones. I mean, I think these last 3 are the juiciest. I mean, these are all good fights, but I definitely think these last 3, you know, Andy Ruiz versus Big Baby Miller. And it's funny because there's Big Baby Miller on there, and then there's the real Big Baby Jared Anderson on the same card. But Andy Ruiz versus Big Baby Miller, Pitbull Cruz versus Jose Valenzuela, and then, of course, at the top of the bill, Terence Crawford versus Israil Madrimov. Before we continue, guys, don't forget to subscribe. Join the channel. It's just $9.99. Remember to get your tickets to Fighters Rep 25 and 26 right now at FightersRep.com. You're not going to want to miss them. September 7th in the Commerce Casino in Los Angeles, and then September 21st at the Arion Event Center in Pompano Beach, Florida. So, Gary, Andy Ruiz versus Jarrell Miller, man. I don't know, man. This is a weird one for me, man. This is a weird one.
Yeah, you think so?
It's just I don't know where Ruiz has been. You know, I feel like Miller's coming off of a loss, but it was a good fight up until he lost. And, you know, he's got Antonio Tarver training him now, which I'm really excited about. You know, my boy Antonio Tarver, you know how much I like him. And he's just such a big guy. But Andy Ruiz is a smaller guy, but he's got really fast hands. I don't know. I mean, what do you think about this fight, Gary?
I mean, I think Andy Ruiz should, if he's the same Andy Ruiz that we remember, even the Andy Ruiz from the Ortiz fight, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If he's that guy, I think he beats Jarrell Miller.
But what
because
if
I think
he's
his hand.
but what if he's the Andy Ruiz from the second Anthony Joshua fight, the one that was way overweight and just couldn't get to Anthony Joshua? I mean, it could be a situation like that too.
Well, I don't think that's why he lost the Anthony Joshua fight the second time. The second time, I think he lost the Anthony Joshua fight because Anthony Joshua changed his game plan.
Oh,
Anthony Joshua was sticking and moving around the boxing ring. He wasn't flat-footed, trading shots with him. And Andy Ruiz had no answer for that.
Well,
he was
also severely overweight for that fight compared to the one before.
He had it's like he didn't predict that Anthony Joshua would fight that way.
Yeah.
Because we never seen Anthony Joshua fight that way until the second fight. And that's when you felt like Anthony Joshua changed after that fight too. He started trying to be a boxer, moving and doing things because that worked and helped him beat Andy Ruiz. And he wasn't a killer. He was just trying to outpoint Andy Ruiz.
Yeah.
Now, Andy Ruiz, when he gets in a firefight with somebody like he did with Ortiz, because Ortiz hit him with some good shots. And Ortiz has a punch, but his hands were just too fast for Ortiz when they got into the exchanges. Yeah. Ortiz might land one. He's landing 2-3 bombs on him. Pop, pop, pop. And sometimes he's landing two and Ortiz landing none.
Yeah, and also, Ortiz is really up there in age. I mean, I think Miller still has some in him. He's a really big guy. I mean, he always weighs in at like 300. He's always in there like 300.
I don't think that's to his advantage, though. I don't think that's to his advantage. Yeah. I think that's a negative. He's not going to be quick enough for Andy Ruiz. If Andy Ruiz is the same Andy Ruiz from his last fight, he's not going to be quick enough. I've seen Andy Ruiz fight big guys. I've seen him fight what's the other Mexican fighter that
Chris Arreola.
Chris Arreola. And Chris Arreola was a big guy, not the biggest Jarrell.
He looked really bad in that fight against Arreola too, man.
Yeah, but his hands.
Remember he got dropped and stuff?
He got dropped against Joshua. Yeah. But he gets up, he has a chin, he's a fighter, and his hands still prevailed because he was quicker. Mm-hmm. He got dropped, but later as the rounds went on, he started punishing Arreola, in my opinion.
What do you think happens in this fight? If you had to give a prediction on this one, Gary.
I think he stops Jarrell, man. If he's like it's tough because I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's the same guy.
That's my thing too. Like that's my thing. Like that's why I'm letting you talk because I'm trying to think of what's gonna happen.
He's not. I don't know if he's the same guy. You can't not box one time every couple years or so, and you're not boxing. So I don't know what kind of shape you're in. I don't know what kind of have you been training like that. I don't know. That's why when I was naming fights I want to see. I mean, he wasn't really I don't know who he is at this point. He has to build back up his status. After Joshua fight, he got really big headed and he sabotaged his own career, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more. I think if he is, like you said, if he's the same guy or even remotely close, I think he probably gets the job done. I think he could either stop Jarrell Miller late or win it by decision just because, like you said, his hands are faster. I think he's a better boxer than Jarrell Miller. What's dangerous, though, about Miller is, if he can get his cardio up, because I think that's his problem, right? In his last fight, I think it was his cardio when Dubois kind of put him away in the second half of the fight. I see he's training with Tarver, man, and I'm a big believer in the Magic Man, but that's what kind of makes this intriguing for me. I want to see if Tarver was able to do something for him, at least get his cardio up so he can take this fight seriously. And then Ruiz has been gone for so long. Maybe there's some rust there that Big Baby Miller can take advantage of. But I'm with you, man. I think late stoppage, maybe after the ninth round, ninth or later, or decision for Andy Ruiz.
Because I just feel like Jarrell Miller, like he's speaking to his cardio, he fades late. He'll come out the first couple rounds and he just fades, and that weight is too much to me for him. Yeah. I just think the weight is too much for him. it sounds like an advantage, but I feel like it's a disadvantage because you fade in the later rounds and your hands get slower. You start throwing less shots. You don't have a lot of movement. So you're there to be found. And I think Andy Ruiz, TKO. I'm like you, TKO. Maybe like, I want to call it 9th round. I'm going to call it 9th.
I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay, so let's move on to what looks to be the co-main event, Gary. Isaac Pitbull Cruz versus Jose Rayo Valenzuela. I think this is a fun fight too, man. I think this is going to be an exciting fight while it lasts. What are your thoughts on this fight, Gary?
Once again, I know more about Pitbull Cruz.
Yeah.
But you know, I just think Pitbull Cruz, you have to beat a guy like Pitbull Cruz, you have to be a high level boxer. And to be able to you know, survive that long against a guy who provides that much pressure, and he does it for 12 rounds. If you last 12 rounds, like he does it relentless. This is one of the, I know why Tank doesn't want to fight him again. That is a, Tank can probably beat him again, but that is a hard, long fight against a guy that's hard-headed, won't go out that easy, and hits hard and comes forward. And you know, I just don't see a lot of guys. I don't know if T.O. beats him, to be honest with you. I don't think, I think he can beat T.O. I think he can beat a lot of people in the top, in some of the top guys. You have to be an extremely cardio up, great boxer. You gotta be on power to back him off a little bit.
You might need to be on Osterine. You just might need to be on Osterine to beat Isaac Pitbull Cruz.
Well, then Ryan Garcia beat him.
You know, he's had a couple losses, man. You know how I felt about the Tank fight. I thought it was really close. I thought maybe Cruz won that one. He also had a draw against a guy named Jose Capilla back in 2017, and he actually had another loss back in 2016. I mean, but he's not the same fighter as then.
Yeah.
For sure. Valenzuela is interesting, you know, because he's got 2 losses as well. One of them was to Chris Colbert, which I don't know if you remember. He avenged.
Yeah, I remember Chris Colbert.
He avenged that one with a knockout, and then he also lost to Edwin De Los Santos, you know, who's a pretty good fighter. So you know, I thought the Colbert loss was a bit of a rip off. It was a unanimous decision loss. And he's a good fighter, you know, but I just think you have to have, like you said, Gary, you have to have a special skill set to beat Isaac Pitbull Cruz. I mean, you have to be, I think you have to, you know, if I'm being honest, this sounds ridiculous. I think you have to be an elite boxer to beat him, because he's got, oh my God, he's so durable. He's so strong. He's so relentless.
And power. He got power, man.
And he's got big power. And, you know, if he wasn't like so stiff, he'd just be absolutely unstoppable. I mean, the guy would be unstoppable.
I mean, his flaw is that he's not very athletic. He's flat-footed. Yeah. And that his defense, honestly, for a person that comes forward as much as him, he has pretty good defense. It's not great, but it's good for, like, most people like him who come forward, wants to mix it up, brawl. Their defense is probably like average. His defense is pretty good. Yeah. When he fought Tank, he blocked a lot of those shots. He didn't take a lot of big shots. He was actually boxing good. And you see what Rolly's a power puncher, and Rolly can hit. And he didn't take a lot, and his timing with countering was excellent that fight. Yeah. It was excellent that fight. He was catching him.
He broke Tank's hand on his big ass head is what he did.
The Tank got broken.
Yeah, bro. Like, this is a tough guy, man. I just don't see anyone. The only one who could beat him is Tank. He's the only one who's got a chance to beat him. You know, I still think that'll be a good fight.
I think Tank can beat him. I think Shakur can beat him.
Maybe Shakur.
I think Shakur can beat him because
Maybe
Shakur is an excellent boxer. He has excellent endurance, and he has excellent defense. So,
by the way, did you
he's
see that? Did you see that Tank's team is targeting a Shakur fight? Is what they're saying next.
I
Since
hope so because Lomachenko is quacking over there.
I know.
He's quacking. He's ducking.
I know. I wonder what that's about. I would love to know the reason. You know, was it the money? Is it something that Lomachenko's not taking that fight?
They said the money was good. The money was there for him.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I just think that he would rather Tank and Shakur fight, and one person wins. So I don't got to fight both of them.
Right.
I just got to fight one to get all the belts. Well, not all the belts because there's another one out there. But I think he just was like, you know what? Let me let these guys go at it first.
Yeah.
And so then I'll.
So let me get back on topic. What do you think? What do you think is the result of Valenzuela versus Cruz? I mean, who do you think wins this fight and how?
Like I want to be honest, Valenzuela. I don't know a whole lot of them, but I'm gonna ride with Cruz because I don't think there's too many people out there in that division or in that division that can beat him. It's only a few. I don't know. I would like to see Cruz against Matisse. To see because Matisse also can crack. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in that division or T.O. or somebody like that, but I don't think it's too many people that can beat him.
Yeah, and I think Cruz is what people thought Matias was supposed to be, because Matias got outboxed by Paro in his last fight.
But I think maybe even Paro. Let's see what Paro if he can do it again.
Yeah, I think Paro would be good as well. But yeah, I think Cruz wins. I think, to be honest, Cruz probably knocks him out late, stops him late, is what I'm feeling. I think he stops him late. Maybe a unanimous decision, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I also feel like Rayo has good boxing skills, Gary. So there's a chance he can pull it off. There really is a chance he can pull it off. But I just feel like Cruz has got more experience with better guys. He's too damn relentless. He's too damn tough. And I don't think Rayo is at that level yet. So I'm going to go with a late stoppage for Isaac Pitbull Cruz on that one.
Now we get into meat and potatoes.
And now, the meat and potatoes, the Madrimov and the Crawford. That's what we're getting into now. And that's the main event for this Riyadh season card, Knuckleheads, which happens just in a couple weeks. It's going down. Is it in Los Angeles, Gary? I believe it's happening in Los Angeles. They're bringing this fight over to the United States. And just a crazy card, but man, Terence Bud Crawford.
It's a pretty good card.
Yeah, Terence Bud Crawford versus Israil Madrimov. Man, I really like this fight, Gary. I really like this fight.
Tell me what you're thinking. I want to know what you're thinking this time. Tell me.
We've been stewing over this one for a little bit. Obviously, I think Terence Bud Crawford. You know my feelings on Bud Crawford. I think he's the man, pound for pound or close to it. I mean, at this point, it's got to be between like him and Usyk or something. If you look at what Usyk's done, unifying the cruiserweight and now unifying heavyweight, you got to give Usyk some credit. But I think for me, as far as like talent and overall everything, I like Crawford. I think he's the number one guy, pound for pound in boxing. And I just think he's hard to beat. But it's Gary, this is what I want to say about it. Under the California State Athletic Commission rules, Gary, and I know this because we've done pro fights there in kickboxing, at 147 pounds and below, you wear 8-ounce gloves. Once you go beyond 147, you go to 147.1, now you're wearing 10-ounce gloves.
Wait, hold on. Let me stop you real quick.
Mm-hmm.
So, because this is my understanding, is that just in California? My understanding was you can still do 8 to 10 ounce or does California say no? Or is it just a normal?
In California, I think that's the rule. I think different states, maybe you could agree to different rules or there are different rules, but I mean, there's supposed to be, I believe, like a uniform rule like that. And in California, which is where they're fighting, It's you wear 8 ounces up until 147 pounds. Beyond 147 pounds, you wear 10 ounces. And you know
I didn't
what
know
that?
that.
Yeah, and what
I didn't know that.
that kind of indicates to me, Gary, is that like there's some understanding, historical understanding that that's a big jump. That's a big jump, and allowing a 154-pound guy to hit you with 8-ounce gloves is a no-no. Of course, in MMA, I mean, it all goes out the window. They're all wearing, I think, the same size gloves in MMA, but
4 ounce, right?
I think so, yeah. But man, 154 pounds, it's a big jump. Crawford's not a little guy. I feel like height-wise, he might actually even be, a little bit taller than Madrimov, so I'm not too worried about him. But man, Madrimov is a solid, thick, strong guy. And not just that. I've been watching him. I've been watching highlights and stuff out of him a little bit, Gary, to talk about this. And I feel like he can move, man. He can move pretty good. He's pretty quick. He's got a good punch selection. He's got a deep amateur background. He doesn't have the pro experience of a Terence Bud Crawford, but this is his division. He is the champ in this division. He's a strong guy. He's a fast guy. I haven't seen him hurt. I haven't seen him lose.
He had a draw.
He had a draw, yeah, but
And the first time they fought, a lot of people thought it was close too.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think of the fighter's name. What's his name? Maybe you can look it up. But it was a draw. It was a draw the second fight. The first fight, he won, but it was a close fight. I noticed because I watched both of them. The full fight. I watched both of them a full fight, and I watched other fights of his. So, I know.
Oh, okay. It was Michael Soro who he TKO'd.
Soro.
He TKO'd him in the first fight, and then
in the ninth round, I think in the first fight it was ninth round. It was a close fight, and I think he landed something big on him in the ninth round. But in the second fight, he landed something big on him in the second round, but he pushed through it. But it was a close fight, the first one too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Soro is not, he's got a lot of experience. He's got a ton of fights. He's got 41 total fights. He's 5'10.5". I mean, he's a big guy. But he's no Terence Crawford, right?
No.
Terence Crawford.
He's a good boxer, though. He's a good boxer.
Yeah, he's a good boxer. Now, we've also, what makes me think about this fight, Gary, what makes me really think about this fight is, we mentioned this before. Terence Crawford, we've seen him hurt against Gamboa. We've seen him dropped against the Mean Machine. And, I don't know if as he's getting bigger, he's getting more durable because you got more water in your brain. You could take more, if he's getting stronger as well, because I felt like he was pushing Errol Spence around, which I don't think a lot of people expected him to manhandle Errol Spence like that. So he's almost an anomaly in that as he's getting bigger, he's getting stronger and he's taking his speed and his power up with him. But this guy, Gary, is pretty athletic. He hits hard. He looks like a tough guy. He's got a good pedigree. You know what I mean? And I think this could be a tough fight. I'm not saying that Madrimov beats him. I still think Crawford wins, but I think this could be a potential difficult fight, potentially. I mean, I don't know. Crawford might go out there and blast him out, but from what I could see, based on the way the guy moves and the way the guy fights in his career so far, I feel like this could be a pretty good fight where this guy could actually win some rounds against Terence Crawford. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, definitely he can win some rounds. Terence Crawford, I mean, it's not like he just blasts people out of there and they don't win no rounds. I mean, Avanesian won a round. On some of the judges' scorecards. You had the Green Machine, I felt, won some rounds. I ain't gonna say a lot of rounds, but they won some rounds. Benavidez, you can say he won some rounds when they fought.
Oh, I thought that was a close fight.
That was a close fight until he knocked them out. So you can pick Terence Crawford, one of the things that was always said about him before was he starts slow. And that was part of the reason why I thought Errol Spence could probably outpoint him, get on. I thought Errol Spence could probably get on top and keep that lead. And like you said, I think Sean Porter won some rounds too. So, and on the scorecards, he won rounds. So, yeah, I think Madrimov can win some rounds. He's not a flat-footed guy that just comes forward. He has some angles. He gives some angles sometimes. He jumps in sometimes. Like I don't want to say a gazelle punch, but I seen him throw that left hook like that gazelle left hook. Seen him jump in, throw that. He pays attention to the body though. Madrimov, he pays attention to the body a lot. You know what I'm saying? So I'm pretty sure Terence Crawford team told him that, and he's prepared for that. And he goes to the body to set up top a lot. He'll keep stabbing to the body with the jab. He's kind of similar to Errol Spence, not a southpaw, but that he goes behind his jab. He goes behind. That's what I'm saying. Like in that sense,
I think he's got a lot more movement than Errol.
Yeah, he does. He does. But when I correlated him to Errol Spence, I was kind of saying like they both go behind the jab. They want to lead with the jab, whether it's to the body or whether and Errol Spence also does his work to the body a lot too. He likes to break you down in the body. And Madrimov, from the fights I seen, I watched about like 4 different fights. He attacks the body. He makes sure he puts that money in the bank in the body. You know what I mean? And so he's gonna go there. I do think he can kind of swing wide sometimes when he's trying to really. Sometimes he's like,
and that's where he can get in trouble. I think
yeah. That's why I think he's gonna get in trouble with Crawford. Swinging. Sometimes he swings for the fences. He swings for the fences a lot. I ain't gonna lie.
Yeah. You know, I think that makes him dangerous too. But I think like you're right. As we're talking about this, you know, I'm starting to see it a little bit more in my head. That's why I like doing this with you. I see it a little bit more in my head. And then I say, man, Crawford's going to be throwing those straight punches in between those big loopy ones.
Uppercut.
Yep. And he might clip him. He might clip him and get him out of there with something like that.
And the thing I was thinking about too is that Madrimov, he jumps in sometimes, like I said, with the gazelle punch, and sometimes he with the overhand, not just the hook. Sometimes with the overhand, he jumps in. I seen him miss some of those. Like the guy moves and miss him. Crawford's gonna counter you with that. And Crawford's gonna time you like almost like he did what's his name from overseas, the Errol Spence broke his eye socket. Kell Brooks. Kell Brooks. I seen him time Kell Brooks and hit him with a shot as he jumped in.
On the way in, way in.
So and I seen Terence Crawford do that more than once to opponents. He catches you on the way in, jumping in. And I just feel like he has more movement, like you said, than Errol Spence. But because it's similar things, he leaves behind the jab, body work. I think Terence Crawford can get him out of there. I think Terence Crawford, now, this is the test. This is what I want to see. How does his power translate to the next level? And how does it, you know, because he catches you with punches also that you don't see. So how does it transfer to the 154? And this is going to tell me whether he can beat Canelo, whether he can move up. Because if you go on 154 and you're powdering the guy and he still's walking forward, I'm like, ooh, I don't know how that looks against Canelo.
If he can't hurt Madrimov, this fight's going to be a tough fight for him.
Yeah.
If he can't hurt Madrimov, Gary, then Madrimov is going to give him hell on that night. I'm telling you, because Madrimov, he's not going to respect him. But I got a feeling, this is what I believe, right? The more we're thinking about it, the more it's starting to crystallize in my brains over here. I'm still seeing it as either a decision win, maybe like 8-4, 9-3 for Terence Crawford, or I'm seeing Crawford clip this guy and get him out of there when he gets a little bit reckless and too wild with his jumping in, like you said, the gazelle punches or whatever they call them, Superman punches. You know, I could see him clipping them. But you bring that up. That is very interesting. You know, I'm looking forward to see how Crawford's power translates, because I do think the whole fight can turn on its head if Crawford can't hurt Madrimov and Madrimov doesn't respect his power, because Madrimov does have the athletic ability and the strength and the physique to just get in there and bang with you. He might make it ugly and try to bang Crawford out of there if he doesn't feel the power coming back.
I definitely got Crawford winning.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think if Crawford feels like, hey, I'm hitting this guy, it's not affecting him, Crawford has the ability to just outbox him. Kind of like Roy Jones did when he moved up to heavyweight and fought Ruiz.
Yeah.
He was never going to knock Ruiz out because he just wasn't going to be able to do that. Yeah. But speed and outboxing him, he could do easily in his sleep. Mm-hmm. And I feel like this is the same thing with Bud and Madrimov. If he feels like he can't hurt him, he knows he can outbox him all day. Yeah. He can outbox him all day. And the thing I also want to see is, how does Terence Crawford take a punch from a 154 pounder? Because he's going to get hit. Yeah. He's going to get hit with a good shot, because Avanesian hit him in the first round, Avanesian hit Terence Crawford with a clean overhand right. And Terence Crawford kind of shook it off. I seen Errol Spence hit Crawford with, I think it was the left, overhand left. Yeah. Clean, and he ate it. And we talk about we seen Terence Crawford hurt, but to me that shows his chin, because every boxer's been hurt. I seen Floyd hurt by chop, by Zab Jude. Well, I don't think he was hurt by Zab Jude. I think he got caught off balance.
Shane Mosley,
Maidana, he was hurt. Shane Mosley, he was hurt. Definitely. So I think him getting hit by Gamboa and not going down, not really getting hurt, and really recovering really quick shows his chin.
He got hurt, but he recovered.
That's what I'm saying. He getting hurt and recovering quick. Yeah. He recovered quick, because right after he got hurt, he recovered. He knocked him out.
You know what's coming to mind, Gary? And I don't know probably because I have the prediction, the prediction fez on. Yeah, you know what's coming to mind? I'm seeing the same result, and this is going to be my prediction. I'm seeing a similar result to David Benavidez versus Caleb Plant. That's kind of what I'm seeing, where Terence Bud Crawford is Benavidez and Madrimov is Caleb Plant. Where he's moving around a lot. He's having a little bit of success, but eventually Crawford's superior boxing and power is able to get the job done, later in the fight. And, he either wins a decision where he just goes away with it in the I guess between rounds, 4 and on, or maybe he even gets a stoppage late in the fight. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing late stoppage or decision for Terence Crawford.
I'm going to disagree with you a little bit, because Benavidez kind of stalked Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant was kind of trying to box him just like he did with Canelo, trying to be the slicker person, not really try to. And I felt Benavidez was a stalker and just overwhelmed him with his size. I don't think Terence Crawford can do that to Madrimov and stalk him. I don't think that's Terence Crawford game plan at all, because he's a smaller guy. I ain't talking about height.
But I feel like he's actually might not be smaller.
But I'm talking about
that's what's confusing.
Weight.
That's what confusing me about this fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm talking about in weight. I had to get my sugar real quick. Don't hate. Don't hate. But I feel like in weight, because if you look at Madrimov, he looks so much stockier. Yeah. So in weight, I feel like he's the bigger fighter in weight.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about when you're sitting there now, one thing I can say, Terence Crawford had some strong legs. He has strong legs, strong back, and that leads to power. And that what's make me think. If you look at Manny Pacquiao had big calves.
Yeah.
You look at his legs, it's sturdy. That's where the power comes from. And when you get these guys with these big legs, and when they really want to plant and sit on a punch and be explosive, and Terence Crawford, you see him deadlift, you see him, he used to wrestle with his strength and everything.
This is why I'm seeing Benavidez versus Plant, right? Because And I want us to just pick one prediction on this. I said decision or late finish. I'm gonna go with decision, right? Just because I think Madrimov is disciplined and tough, and I think he'll make it out of the fight. But I think Crawford will dominate. But here's the reason I'm seeing Benavidez plan. For me, Crawford fights a little bit like Benavidez in that, they're on that back hip. They know how to box. He understands his range. Of course, Benavidez is not going to be as able to move as freely as Crawford because he's a bigger guy. But I feel like they fight similar in that way. And I feel like Plant, because, in my opinion, his boxing wasn't as technically good as Benavidez, he has to rely on his athleticism. And I feel like Madrimov also relies on his athleticism, Gary, because that Soviet style that he uses, make no mistake, he's from Uzbekistan. That's a Soviet satellite country, one of the Russian satellite countries. That's the way they fight. They're very bouncy. You see it also with Bivol, right? Bivol fights that same style. So
he's not as good as Bivol, though. I'm gonna tell you that.
Well, yeah, I mean, not yet because he's got way less fights too. I mean, if he's ever going to be good as Bivol, it's going to take a while. I think. I don't want to judge.
I watch both of them. He's not Bivol.
I don't want to judge him yet.
Yeah.
Madrimov's good. I don't want to judge him yet.
I think he's a good fighter too.
What I'm saying though is that Soviet style, it relies on a lot of athleticism, but the American style doesn't burn that energy and is a superior, in my opinion, is a superior style. And because you always know your range, you don't have to spend so much energy bouncing around all over the place like the Soviet style. And that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing like he's going to have some success in the beginning because he's athletic and he's bouncing, he's moving around and he's quick and he's strong. But eventually Crawford's going to catch up with him because Crawford is also athletic, but is not going to be burning all that energy the way Madrimov is. But like you said, what really intrigues me about this fight is the fact that Crawford was a little guy, Gary. He's a little guy. He's coming up now to 154, Gary. I mean, we were worried about his ass at 147, bro. This guy's coming up to 154. Is he going to be able to hurt this guy? One. And is he going to be able to take the punches? Two. Now, here's the other thing I'm thinking about, right? I think Madrimov, even though that's his style, that Soviet style where he's bouncing in and out, I think he may be able to adjust and just have a walk down style. He might be educated enough to do that. I'm not sure. He might be. If it's a situation where he doesn't feel like he can get hurt and he can hurt Crawford, he might revert to that. But if I'm just looking at them as what they typically are, I'm sticking to my script.
Now he does have that in him to walk down. I've seen Madrimov as the fights I watch.
That's what I'm thinking about.
No, I've seen him pull up the high guard, and he mixes it up. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. He's gonna be a tough fight. He's a good boxer. He's not Avanesian. He's not the green machine. I mean, not say green machine. The mean machine. The mean machine. He's not the mean machine.
He's a lot more athletic. He's
more athletic, and he'll mix it up. Sometimes he'll have that lead hand down and he'll pop it. The other times he'll throw up the high guard and just come in.
Yeah.
And he'll come in. So he's not like a one-dimensional fighter. Sometimes he'll come in and he'll try to come in, and when he decides I'm just going to come in and try to get close to this guy and get in with him. I feel like when he does that, that's when he's in the most danger with Terence Crawford, because you blind yourself a little bit. You can't see things. Yeah, you can't see everything when you put him up like this. You kind of limit your peripheral vision, and just come in. That's when Terence Crawford can catch you.
He does come in head first sometimes, like he dips his head.
Yeah, and swings over top.
And I feel like he could get caught by Crawford doing that.
This is why I'm picking the stoppage. That's why I'm picking the stoppage, because it's times he comes in head, and that works sometimes. Because I've seen Avanesian catch Terence Crawford with that too. I've seen Errol Spence catch him with the overhand doing that same thing. Yeah. But the thing that Bud does that same thing that Floyd does. You caught me with it once, you won't catch me with it again.
Right.
So
Right.
when you catch me with it once, you better make that motherfucker pay. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You better make it. It better land, and that's the only thing. Because I know at some point he's gonna get caught with a hard shot. I want to see if he gets caught with it and be like, "Oh, good shot, I'm cool," or if he gets caught with it, and he's like, "Whoa, that was something I haven't experienced in a while." And so that's what I'm saying. Like I just think that you know later I want to say I know I picked 9 already for the other fight. I want to say 9, 10, 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Terence Crawford times him up for a shot because he even did it to Porter. That's how he caught Porter. He caught Porter coming in, head down, and he timed him with a good uppercut. Boom, set him on his butt. Did that wobble Porter? No, Porter just got caught with a shot coming in. He didn't see coming and ran right into it. Porter got back up, and the next time he caught him, he ran him into something. Terence Crawford is great at running people who want to come forward and everything into things. He can fight off the back foot. He can fight off the front foot. I don't know if Madrimov can fight off the back foot. I don't know if Terence Crawford can put him on the back foot, but he doesn't have to because he can fight off his back foot too.
Fucking interesting fight, Gary. I can't wait to watch this shit, man. Isaac McCary in here. He says Crawford by whatever he wants. I appreciate you being in here, Isaac. Guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, join the channel to help us continue to grow. So those are our predictions. Gary with the stoppage for Crawford. What you said, round 9? 10?
9 or 10. 10, 9 or 10.
For me, I'm going to do the decision. I think it's going to come close. I think maybe in round 9 or 10 he's going to hurt him really bad. But he's going to be able to work his way through it, I think. Just with his durability and athleticism, being the bigger guy, maybe that slows Crawford down a bit, being at that weight. We'll see. I look forward to it. I look forward to hearing it. But that's pretty much all we've got for you guys.
He said Crawford by head kick.
That's pretty much all we got for you guys tonight. If you haven't already, again, get your tickets to FightersRep 25. It's on September 7th. FightersRep 26 on September 21st. Help us build this amazing promotion. The fight card's amazing. We're going to be previewing the fight card pretty soon and doing some interviews with some of the fighters that are going to be on there. You're not going to want to miss it. Gary, anything else you want to say, man?
Nah, man, I'm good. I'm just waiting on this fight.
Else for him?
I'm good. I'm waiting on this fight. It's going to be an awesome card. Honestly, I think Shakur Stevenson had a great card, too. It would last, obviously, his fight and O'Shaquie fight wasn't as exciting, but they had elite fighters through the whole card. O'Shaquie's elite fighter. Shakur is. You had Keyshawn. You had Abdullah.
That was amazing.
That was amazing card too, as far as talent wise. So this one rivals that one in talent wise. So I'm ready, man.
Maybe on the next one we talk about the potential matchup. Hopefully we hear something between Shakur and Tank. I hope that happens.
Yeah.
But anyways, knuckleheads, appreciate you guys joining us. Have a great night. We'll see you guys soon.
All right, yeah.
Thursday night.